This is Cold on Contact, first episode, and look, let's just hop right into it. This is my first guest today, which is Max. Give him kind of a background on who you are as MaxEats.
You guys might have seen me on Instagram or TikTok, but I run a food account called MaxEats Miami. I've been doing this for about 2 years and trying to get better at it every single day. So I'm literally posting videos Monday through Sunday.
Okay, cool. All right, so how did this start? Give me a breakdown of how somebody gets into creating food content the way you do, where you're exploring new places, things like that.
I feel like ever since I had an iPhone or had Snapchat or Instagram when I was in high school, I was always posting pictures of food. My friends were always telling me you should create a food account. And I actually did when I was in college, a failed food account. It used to be called Food Bay USA. And it was back before Reels even existed. I would just post static photos of anything I was eating and do a little description. But unfortunately, that one was shut down. And it took me like maybe 4 or 5 more years to actually start up another one with MaxEats.
So you were always into food. Did you have like a mom or a dad who was kind of like maybe a chef in the culinary world? How did you get into food itself?
Unfortunately, I had parents that were the farthest thing away from chefs.
Really?
Yeah, no, neither. My mom is the worst cook I've ever met. And my dad thinks he can cook, but absolutely cannot. The only person in my family that can cook is my grandma, and she's retired from cooking, so we cater Thanksgiving and Christmas now.
And where is home? You're not a born and raised Miami guy. You kind of found your way to Miami, right?
When people ask me that in Miami, I always go, soy de Tampa. But yeah, I'm from Tampa. I grew up there for 18 years, and then after I grew up there, I got recruited to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I was a diver there for 2 years before I made it back down to Miami, and I transferred to UM my junior year.
Wait, you were a diver?
Yes. A lot of people don't know that about me. I was a competitive diver my whole life.
We're talking high
High
diver?
diver, yeah. No, I'm scuba certified too, but I was a competitive diver for like 12 years.
So plot twist. So how do you get into diving? Like that's obviously got to be something like family or somebody like kind of introduced that to your life, or like did you just find your way into that?
I used to play soccer, was never could excel at it. And then I was always going to open gyms with my friends, like doing flips. I would actually do flips on my couch, and I ripped a giant hole in my couch, and my mom said she'd rather have me flipping into a pool instead of off of the couch.
Okay, so how did the transition to Miami occur? Give me a breakdown on that.
So actually, when I was a sophomore in college, I hurt my back really bad diving, and I realized I didn't want to stay in North Carolina if I wasn't diving. And I actually wanted to transfer schools. I wanted to go to California, and my parents were like, absolutely not. They were like, you have to go to school in Florida. And my mom wanted me to go to UF, where my brother was, and that was a big no. Definitely didn't want to go to FSU, and I was like, honestly, the only school I'll go to in Florida is UM. And I was able to get in, and they gave me some scholarship money too. So I came down in 2018. Literally, like, I found out I got in a week before my junior year started.
Yeah.
Like, I had already signed up for classes in Chapel Hill for my junior year, and when I figured out I got into UM, my dad and I flew to Chapel Hill, packed all my shit up in a U-Haul, and drove down from Chapel Hill to Miami.
Oh wow. So Miami for you was like you were like, oh, I'm dialed in. Like this is where I want to be. You know.
Yeah.
So you knew it for how long? It's like you knew Miami was going to be the next stop. Like is this kind of always happening for you? Like
I actually toured UM when I was in high school when I was just looking for colleges, and we had a dive meet in Fort Lauderdale. So my club coach took us out all down to UM, and that was his alma mater. So I always loved the campus, and they actually had one of the best diving programs in the country. So it was always of interest to me.
how many years in Miami at the University of Miami? 2 years?
I actually took a 5th year, so I was there for 3 years, and I graduated in 2021.
The victory lap.
Yes, the Victory Lab.
The victory lap. Yeah. So tell me about Miami. I was raised in the South. I didn't know anything about Miami, but I always saw it as like this grandeur, like party school with this beautiful women just everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And then now I live in Coral Gables, so I have seen the campus. But for you, how was that? Was it the same? Kind of like that lore, you know, of like what Miami truly is? Like, was it that or?
No, it definitely does live up to the lore. I didn't actually really partake in the party culture.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't in a frat. I wasn't on a dive team anymore. It was actually really hard for me to make friends since I didn't have like a social group or like pre-made friends on my team. So it took literally all 3 years for me to find like consistent real friends, but some of the friends I made are still friends till this day.
Gotcha.
But
so that's a positive.
and it's hard being at University of Miami if you're not like a hot blonde girl. who gets invited to like promoter dinners and the club and yachts. So it was a whole different side, honestly, when you're a male.
I was just thinking that actually, like the aspect of Miami where it's like if you are just like a normal student, what that would be like, because I would imagine the college girls would just get invited to yacht parties, club access, everything. It also seems like that too. That's also the back end of Miami, right? Like girls go to Miami and things are just handed to them like, hey, promo, here you go, come on in. Guys though, somewhat can be a bit of an expensive process just for them to have like a weekend here.
Yeah.
So it's always been like that for you, even when you were like, kind of like as a student. It's kind of rough as like, finding your way. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. So, all right. So now we're in Miami. Now we've gotten you to those stages of where you're in the college days. Where does it go from there? You graduated. You did your fifth round. You did your victory lap. Then what?
I actually had a pretty rough go after I graduated. It took me a couple years to find my footing. Honestly, until last year. So 3 or 4 years after I graduated, it was pretty rough out here.
So just the job market in general in Miami?
Yes, after I had a bachelor's in advertising and broadcast journalism.
Okay.
And then so my pipeline was I interned at a PR firm for a little bit. After that internship, I actually was hired by the Miami Heat. Yeah, a lot of people don't know I interned for the Heat, and that's where I learned how to really edit all my videos. They put me in every single department, and you did it every day from like 9 a.m. If we had a game, you would get there at 6. You'd leave at 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, editing all the TV packages for the next day. But I did learn a lot there.
So what would be, going back to those days, what was the dream job for you? Like not knowing what you know now, but like in college, you just rap. Like what was it? Did you want to be like a news reporter, or what did you think?
That was the problem. When I was studying, I literally did not know what I was going to do, and I was kind of going where the wind blew me, like looking for jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed, and that's how I came across the Heat internship. And it's funny because I know nothing about basketball. My brother played basketball. I was a diver, literally knew nothing about basketball, and I'm still surprised till this day that I was even selected for that internship, because I think over 100 kids applied and they only chose 4.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So got this internship. You're in there now. Walk us through the Miami Heat version of you at this point. Now you're kind of buying in on like, them as a team, right? Like starting to learn about them. What year was this anyway? This
was in 2021.
Okay.
So I think I was like 22 years old when I worked for the Heat. Now I'm 26.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that's who was like the stars? That's still the Jimmy years.
I think Jimmy Butler was on the team. Udonis Haslem was still there. He was the team captain. Tyler Hero was like just coming up. The year where I worked there, they made it all the way to almost the final, like all the way to the national championship.
This is where like playoff Jimmy was like born. This is like where he really started coming into his own.
Yeah.
And so did you ever meet those players? You like knew them personally or any of them? Like
I got to meet actually the whole team. They would come into our studio for like press day, and we would do interviews with them, or like literally anything. They would come in the studio all the time.
You want to talk about like a full circle moment right now? Is the fact that you're in a studio where they actually are shooting the show now for the Miami Heat. So when I got introduced into the studio, they were like, yeah, they're shooting the Miami Heat like interviews also here. So this is also like the Miami Heat area for their stuff. Now here you are back on the studio. So that is kind of crazy. But point being is, so we get you all the way up to now you're at this Miami Heat job, right?
Yeah.
So then what does this turn into? Because you're still, kind of figuring out your way.
After the Heat ended, I didn't have a job lined up. So I was a server for a couple months and was fired from 2 different places in 2 different months consecutively.
Spit the spot. What were they?
I was DC Pie Company. Okay. I got fired from DC Pie because I was vaping and on TikTok during work hours at the bar around the corner.
Okay, all right.
And then I was working at Paperfish, also in Brickell.
Oh, okay, I know Paperfish.
Are you familiar? Yeah, the sushi spot.
Yeah.
Literally used to like take my moped to work, and I was not even there for 1 month, and I got fired for assault on company property.
Wait, what? Wait, did you say you got fired for assault on company property?
That's what it was like, technically, like that was the reason for termination.
Take us through it. What happened?
No, it was so stupid. Like every night when you're a server, you have to do side work, and I was folding napkins, right? As I did every night, and I went to the bathroom, and I could come back, and there was a girl, the girl who trained me, she had taken my spot, and I was like, I was right there, and she's like, no, you weren't, and I slapped her on the shoulder, barely, and she told the boss I hit her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she must have had just a shitty night, made no tips. And then they let me work Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday after my shift, they were like, we need to talk to you upstairs. And I come upstairs, and all the papers were laid out across the desk. They made me sign here, 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 and here.
And that was it. Max was done with the restaurant industry when it came to like serving. That was it.
Yeah, no, I was a good server. Like I was super personal, but like I was always lacking on the tables. Like I couldn't clean up after everyone. Like I actually lost someone's credit card at Paperfish before I got fired. Yeah, it was not for me.
So you had the same experience that I had. I'm curious to see if we're same in like some people. I've heard some people have this ability, but some don't. Where like somebody can just spit off like an order, right? And they have that mind that's like, yeah, got you. And then like I couldn't do that. So like I tried the same thing. I tried to do this like waiting job, and I was at this restaurant, and I just remember I was like 21 or whatever, and like I just could not remember orders at all. I must have screwed up like the first day. Like no one got their drinks, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm everywhere, you know. Yeah,
it was awful. And then since I didn't have seniority, they gave me like the worst section, so I was like never happy. Like it was just not it. Like.
Sorry, so we'll move past that section of MaxEats. All right, now he's done with the kitchen. He's done with serving. He's gotten through college, done with the heat. Where are you now? You've then compiled like all this like these new skills that you've had. The salt charge. Now where are you at?
Yeah. Then I ended up at Compass Real Estate.
Okay.
Where I was a marketing director. I would say quote unquote for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And I actually did learn a lot there, but when I joined this one team, there was like two guys and me when I joined. Then by the time I left, there was like 13 people on the team. So as it grew, I took on a lot more responsibility. And my boss really he was kind of the worst. He would like talk down to me.
Oh, man.
He wouldn't pay me enough. So I'm like, you have to pick one. You can't talk shit about me and pay me like crap too. So
it happens, yeah.
But I did learn a lot there. And I started MaxEats on the side.
So MaxEats came from while you were working at this real estate company. Were you just like, okay, I'm going to go test out it? Because the first one burned. Remember you were saying the first, what was that first account called?
It was Food Bay USA.
Okay, Food Bay USA is gone. Yeah. And you're like, you know what? Let me give MaxEats a shot. Like basically putting your name on it now, right?
Yeah, and after the failed account, Reels were even a thing. So now, back then in like 2023, I would say, people really started posting on Reels, and I would always just watch them. And like honestly, I thought a lot of the times the content was crap, and I would think I could do it better, but I was so nervous to start. Like I was kind of embarrassed. Like you have no followers, so your videos are going to nobody. And I literally gave myself like a countdown. Like I was like on my 25th birthday, I told myself I would start the day after, and I did.
And give me the start. This is you saying like I'm gonna post every day. Like get for anybody out there who's like trying to create content.
Okay.
The go is obviously you've heard it, same as I've heard it, which is you should be posting every day.
Yes, actually that is very true. And if you're not ready to start posting every day, I would say edit 10 videos, get in the rhythm of it, like have them all lined up, like know how you're gonna film them, how you're gonna edit, get a flow, maybe a pattern going, and just have them ready. So when you have your first posting date, you could post 1 or 2 a day for like a week or 2.
Oh, so you're saying do like a bulk load of them, and like I'm sure you're fast at it now, right? Like you can probably knock out how many videos a day do you think you can make?
I honestly do 1 a day. I can do like I've probably done 3 a day before if I'm like going on vacation.
Damn.
And like I just want to have them ready, but like bulk it up. Like edit 5 to 10, have them ready, so you don't have to stress about doing them day by day.
True.
When you first start.
And I'm sure you're on a schedule now, right? You're like, hey, Monday I do this, Tuesday I do this, Wednesday I do this, and then they all go out the very next week. Or you're now probably months in advance, right?
No, I'm honestly, I'm a little bit behind on my content. I'm probably like 2 to 3 weeks behind because I'm filming now. Like last week, I filmed again Monday through Sunday. Like it was crazy. That was a very heavy week, but normally it's every night for dinner at 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday maybe I'll do like a lunch somewhere.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the timeline of Max. Now we're back. You're kind of getting MaxEats going. You've got this guy. He's kind of being a bit of a dick, and then you're like,
yeah,
hey man, like when did it become like a full step where you're like, I'm doing this now? Like I'm a full-time content creator.
Well, actually, so I worked at Compass for like a year and a half, and I had a mentor there, and I told him I was going to leave. and he actually got to my boss before I did. So like when D-Day came and I was going to quit, I actually got fired before I even had the chance to quit.
Wow.
So like that was in January. It was like the first week of the year, last year in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually unemployed from like January till June. I didn't start making money on this account for like 6 months. I couldn't get hired. I literally could not get hired anywhere. I had a pretty good resume, like Compass, Miami Heat, University of Miami, like no one was hiring. And yeah, it took me almost a full year since starting till I made my first brand deal for $100.
Yeah, because I think that's an interesting thing too, is the fact that people may think that's a long time, but really, like, for you to get a brand deal, I mean, in just about 6 months of starting to actually create, that's pretty solid, right? Like, obviously, you understood the kind of like the pace, the rhythm of what people wanted to see on camera. Were you just always kind of like looking at TikTok, you kind of understood the trend? That's kind of like the gist of it all? Or did you see somebody who was like, I can do that better? Like, was there an influencer that you saw, you were like, oh no, I can do that?
Yeah, no, there was a couple actually. It was a funny story. When I worked for Compass, there's another creator in Miami called Mr. Eats, and there's another one, Mr. Eats and Miami Food Porn were on a panel.
Really?
Yeah, and I went up to, his name's George. I went up to George afterward, and I was like, I really want to do what you do, and he was like, just do it. He was like, the hardest part is just starting, and he honestly inspired me. Like, he was eating at every restaurant in Miami, doing everything, going to F1, like all the basketball games, like just everything and anything, and I knew I could do it, and I wanted to. And
so Mr. Eats was kind of like the stimulus for like, this is the life. Like, he's doing it. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I
cool.
think if like I didn't meet him on that panel, like I never would have had the confidence to start.
Very cool. That's actually pretty badass. Yeah, I never knew that. And I had mentioned him to you earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, have you ever seen this account? And you're like, now you're like,
It literally took me like even after I met him, it's still like I was so nervous to start. It took me like almost a year from that to post.
Oh, really?
But like it was ruminating in my head ever since I saw him speak on a panel.
And that kind of brings us to kind of like where you're at today, where it's like you are a creator. You're a full-time creator. I found you when I moved from New York City. I've actually followed you longer, I think, because I am new here. So it's about like 8-9 months. But then I do remember seeing your stuff when I was visiting Miami. I was like, I'm gonna go check these spots out. But you were talking about Skinny Louie, and that being the one, the genesis for like the pilot. Tell me about that. Tell me about the first one that actually you knew you're like, oh, that's hitting.
So actually, when I quit my job, my friends and I were all going to Medellin like in a month.
What is it? Oh,
Medellin
okay.
in Colombia.
Okay, gotcha.
And like I was unemployed, probably should not have been buying tickets to Colombia, but I just wanted to go. Like I'd been working for a year and a half, like literally was chained to my desk on South Beach in Miami. Gotcha. And so we all went to Medellin, we were partying, and I had posted a video about Skinny Louie a couple days beforehand. And when we were there, I opened my phone to like, it literally had like 1,800 notifications. And I was used to posting to 200 followers and I get 10, 15 likes on a video. And I was like, oh my God, and my Skinny Louie video started to go viral. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then my friend was like, now's your time. And when I got back to Miami, like again, since I was unemployed, like I just started doing one every day. Like I didn't have a job, so.
I would imagine that does spark you up a good bit when you're like, you can see one doing it, you're like, okay, I can remake that. You know, like, was there a follow up after that during that week? You're like, okay, I'm gonna capitalize on this. Like, what did you do to capitalize on that kind of that video? Was there something that, just for other creators out there who may have that happen to them, you know, was there a way to be like, okay, let's build off this, or you're like, that's the structure for what I'm gonna do moving forward? Like, what did you take from that success?
That allowed me to go from literally my videos going to almost no one. So I jumped from probably 200 followers to about 3,000 or 4,000 followers.
Oh.
And it doesn't seem like a lot now, but in the beginning stages, like that's momentum, and you just have to keep using the momentum. And once there's eyes on your page, like you just have to take control of it and keep it going, like keep the momentum going.